It's time to talk some cricket on the SportsMax zone. The first test between West Indies and Zimbabwe bowls off tomorrow at the Queen Sports Club in Bulawayo. Skipper Craig Brathwaite says the team is ready to get out on the field.
Yeah, well, preparation has gone really well. Really like how the guys have played themselves in the practice game we had as well. So that was really good. And the guys looking forward to the first test tomorrow for sure. I think we are in very good space.
The Barbadian says his team is fully focused on the job.
Not under any pressure. I think all the guys really looking forward to playing here and playing on the ground. We had a few practice sessions at the ground, so I think no pressure. I think the guys are gonna go there and enjoy it and make West Indians proud.
Brathwaite went on to say ex-Windies batsman Brian Lara has much influence on the team.
I saw him having a lot of convos with batsmen, during net sessions and stuff. So, I think that knowledge was passed on, and it's obviously important that we imply it, into, the thought process of batting. Obviously, a bat for long periods. So, it's important that we don't forget about these key points, he would have touched on. Because as you know, you go through different processes in a test match and batting for long periods. So I think the guys got some very good info, from the legend. And, so the guys look forward to, going out there and doing it, doing it and obviously performing.
So Leighton, it's one thing to get advice from anybody, random people. And then it's one thing to get advice from a man who has done it before, who has done it brilliantly and who's been seen as a legend. Do you think, having a Brian Lara in a West Indies dressing room setup will have a positive impact on this team? And I'm not saying that I'm expecting them to come out tomorrow batting like him and playing like him. I'm not expecting any ridiculous transformation, but I'm saying that his positive energy, the respect that he would command in this setup, good for the Windies men.
Before I answer the question, I will say, and there's one more thing that you forgot to mention in the one thing that you wanted to mention.
Go ahead.
Is that despite the advice, when you go out into the middle, you're out there by yourself. And that's been the problem for the West Indies batsmen for the last 25 years. Coaches can come, coaches can go, they can inspire you, they can tell you what to do, they can give you advice on how to be better. When you go out into the middle, oftentimes we've seen from the West Indies, this West Indies team or these West Indies teams, is that information flies through the window once they get out into the middle. We are hoping that with Brian Lara in the dressing room and the impact that he has had regionally and the respect that he would have garnered from these players who may have watched him growing up, that the advice that he gives them will come into play once they get out on the pitch. Now, that's what we can hope. And against Zimbabwe, you're thinking they should be able to, because Zimbabwe is not one of the strongest teams in the world right now.
And then we have to remember, no points up for grabs in this match, right?
I think they'll play well.
Yeah, I'm expecting them, because what we did see during the practice matches is, effort with the bat, a lot of players getting starts. So I think if they're moving in that direction, you use this Zimbabwe match as a continuation of that practice. Of course, you try to put up good scores. The bowlers try to be very commanding against the Zimbabwe batsmen. I think it's going to be a good series against them.
It should be. My only concern is who are they going to come in at number 3, because I think Nkrumah Bonner has not been the player we saw in Bangladesh in the last couple of years when he made a lot of runs. He's struggled for form, especially since he got hit in the head. He's not been the same player. Even in the practice matches, he made, 2 and I think 13, or Ducker and 30. I don't remember, but it wasn't anything significant to remember. I think Chanderpaul and, of course, Brathwaite will provide a solid opening base. But I think maybe a Devon Thomas, I'm not convinced about him either, but certainly he has to be better than Nkrumah Bonner. And then, of course, Jermaine Blackwood and the others to come into that middle order. And then the reality is then now how the bowling attack sets up. Seals isn't there, but certainly Azari Joseph and I think Shannon Gabriel and Jason Holder should be able to handle whatever the Zimbabwean batsmen have to offer.
Yeah, for me, this is not about winning. This particular matchup against Zimbabwe, and I'm somebody that's very, very competitive, and every time I talk on the zone about West Indies, I want them to win. But I feel like this is a continuation, and I said it just now. I want to see them putting runs on their bat, getting the scores, showing that they can be competitive when they face a more dominant opponent. I want to see them using this as the opportunity to build their confidence, Leighton, because for some time, of course, we've been defeated and confidence has been low.
Yeah, and work on your technique. I mean, this Zimbabwe team, I don't think have players who are
and
going
some
to.
are missing too because of injury. I was reading reports.
But they're not going to be. They're not on Australia. They're not on South Africa. They're not on India. And I think this will be an opportunity for the players to relax a little bit at the crease, focus on doing the right things, rotating the strike, taking advantage of the circumstance to, as you said, build their confidence, one, but also to work on flaws in their techniques and see if they can get the scores that will then, make them take a step further to build on something for the next test series and see. So let's see what happens tomorrow morning. And of course, I think the pitch will have a lot to say about how they perform as well.
Exactly. Well, still with cricket, the match between Trinidad and Tobago Red Force and Windward Islands Volcanoes in the West Indies 4-day championship at St. George's Grenada ended in a draw. They set 354 for victory. The Red Force reached 225 for 7 at stumps. Here are the final scores from that match. So as we can see here, Windward Islands Volcanoes, their first innings, 243 in 63.1 overs, getting the runs, the top scorer, Tevin Walcott, 87 not out, and sealing those wickets for the Red Force, Brian Charles, 4 for 46. Then the Red Force went into bat. They were able to make 315 in 92.1 overs. Their top scorer, Amir Django, with 86. Ryan John getting the wickets there for the Windward Islands Volcanoes. Windwards went into bat. Their second innings, they mustered 425 for 5. Kimalni Melius getting a century, 192 for him. Brian Charles, the pick of the bowlers for Trinidad and Tobago. Then Red Force went back in. They managed 225 for 7. Jason Mohammed on 79 not out. Ryan John grabbing the wickets there for the Windward Islands Volcanoes.
Yeah, very good batting performance by the Windwards in the second innings. 2 centurions, of course, along with Melius, for 25 for 5. This is what I like to see. I mean, I don't know what the pitch was like, but you saw people making scores.
Putting their hands up.
Yeah, 87 not out, 86 not out, 192. I think there was 110. I think it was the other score. This is what I want to see more of. Batsmen getting scores when they should be getting scores. And I think if this follows a trend for the remainder of the 4-day competition of West Indies Championships, maybe we can start to look at some other players, some younger players coming through who would eventually want to break into the West Indies first team.
All right, we're over in Antigua and Barbuda now. The other 2 games will conclude on Saturday. These are the scores of those matches. So the Guyana Happy Eagles, their first innings, 371. We had Matthew Nandu picking up a century. Jay McAllister getting the job done with the ball for Barbados Pride. Then Barbados Pride put on 220 for 9. Shane Mosley getting 65. We had Veerasamy Permal picking up 4 for 53 for Guyana Happy Eagles. Then Guyana went into bat. Matthew Nandu, he got 16, and Akeem Jordan picking up 3 for 18 for the Barbados Pride. Next game.
98 for 9 is surprising.
Yeah, so we had the Leeward Islands Hurricanes mustering 260. Jeremiah Lewis, 78 not out for Leewards. Abby J. Mansing from Jamaica picking up 3 for 47. Scorpions went into bat, a total of 234. Leroy Lugg, 79, and then we had the big man Rakeem Cornwall grabbing 5 for 54 for Leeward Islands with the ball. Rakeem also went in and he did really well with the bat, picking up, mustering 56. Then Jamie Merchant getting the wickets, 2 for 27. All right, so this is the score on stumps. Day 3, Hurricanes lead by 224 runs. All right, let's take a break. Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news, and entertainment.